Europe looks calm, cities bustling, cafes opening, but beneath this serene exterior, something irreversible has begun. The facade of success hides a troubling reality: Europe's population is not replacing itself. Since the 1970s, Europe has steadily fallen below the critical replacement rate of 2.1 children per woman. In countries like Italy and Spain, fertility rates plummet to around 1.2 to 1.3. This isn't a mere fluctuation, it's decades of decline. Each generation is now smaller than its predecessor, which means fewer children today translates to fewer workers tomorrow, creating a relentless cycle of demographic decline. Visualize this: an animated pyramid flips upside down, the base shrinking while the top expands. Europe hasn't plummeted off a cliff, it's stepped off the edge quietly over the years, now watching its descent in slow motion. The median age in the European Union has reached around 44 to 45 years, significantly older than the United States, where it hovers around 38. This seemingly small gap affects millions, representing a surge in individuals past their prime working years. The old age dependency ratio rises, with roughly 34 retirees for every 100 working age adults in several countries, and it's only getting worse. Herein lies the trap: Europe is aging and shrinking simultaneously, facing an unprecedented double bind. See this in action with a split screen: on one side, a crowded retirement community, on the other, an abandoned school in eastern Germany. In some regions, schools close not due to budget cuts, but simply because there are no children left to fill them. After World War II, Europe constructed remarkable welfare states, fostering universal healthcare and public pensions. However, these systems thrived on growth, expecting a large workforce to support a smaller retired population. Back in 1990, Germany boasted 4 workers for every retiree. Today, that number dwindles to just over 2. This tightening ratio exacerbates the strain on public finances. In France, pension spending consumes about 14 to 15% of GDP, and healthcare costs soar with an aging population. Governments can only respond with adjustments, raising retirement ages, increasing payroll taxes, and borrowing more. Unfortunately, these measures merely shift the burden rather than alleviate it. Fewer workers now support an increasing number of retirees, leading to higher taxes and slower growth, which hampers family formation. Faced with dwindling workforces, European governments turn to migration as a quick fix. On paper, it seemed ideal: a surge in new workers and an expanded tax base. For a time, net migration into the EU exceeded 1 to 2 million people annually. Yet, within 1 or 2 generations, the fertility rates of migrant families began to align with native levels, facing the same economic pressures of urban living. The demographic math remained unchanged, only delayed, leading to increased strain on housing, healthcare, and public services. Demographics dictate more than just societal structure, they shape economic growth. The EU's working age population peaked and is now on the decline. Projections indicate a loss of tens of millions of working age adults in the next 2 decades, particularly in Italy, where 6 to 7 million may vanish by 2050. Fewer workers equate to lower GDP growth potential. Europe has struggled to maintain average growth rates of 1 to 1.5%, significantly less than that of the United States. Productivity may provide some relief, but it cannot fully compensate for the absence of millions. With rising public spending pressures and accumulating debt, this situation does not reflect outright collapse. Instead, it reveals a gradual compression, fewer people carrying an ever-increasing burden. Governments have attempted solutions: child benefits, tax credits, and subsidized childcare. Yet, even in high-spending countries like France, birth rates remain stubbornly low. The inconvenient truth is that when fertility drops below around 1.6 and persists for decades, recovery becomes rare. Urbanization correlates with low fertility, and today, the average first-time mother across much of Europe is over 30, shrinking the window for childbirth. The irreversible demographic trend has long since set, ensuring fewer births today means fewer young adults in the future. Historically, this isn't a first for civilization. The later centuries of the Roman Empire witnessed similar trends, with declining birth rates and a dwindling tax base leading to weakened resilience and flexibility as pressures mounted. Europe, too, is slowly redefining its demographic future. By 2050, substantial parts of Europe will have fewer people than today. The impact won't be catastrophic but rather a feeling of perpetual shortage, longer waits for healthcare, reduced transport routes, and the hollowing out of regions. Political power will increasingly favor older voters, and investment in growth will face skepticism. This will not feel like collapse, it will feel like diminished expectations. The demographic crisis in Europe doesn't have one single cause or villain. It unfolded gradually, as birth rates fell amidst affluence and urbanization. The decisive moment passed unseen, a quiet shift that now shapes the continent's future. European society isn't exploding, it's contracting, absent of the drama traditionally associated with decline. Instead, absence, compounded across decades, holds profound historical significance. The real query arises: can any advanced society evade this trajectory once the line is crossed? Demographic momentum is relentless, it simply moves forward, quietly.